Alright guys, so here's what I did with the bump stops. You can see they've been welded on up here. It seems to work fairly well. Now these, when they would have been installed in the middle, would have been flat, right? They would have been perpendicular to this face right here. Now this right here, what I've done here is I've made it the same spacing, right? This is a 60mm spacing between these two, right? 120. 60. Also did this 60, but I've moved it back a little bit too. I've moved it that direction, and in doing that I was able to angle this up 10 degrees. So the angle between this and this face here is actually 80 degrees, and that's going to allow for an extra 10 degrees of swing here on these arms when they go up. Now this also is in place to keep the shock from collapsing too far and smashing itself to death. Well, these will actually be extended another 4 inches, so figure they will be right here when all is said and done. Okay, now notice I don't have any drop stops. I don't have any stops to keep it from bottoming out the shock, and the reason for that is, well, I'm going to be using transporter shocks, and they run about 23 inches eye to eye. So between having 4 inches up here and then these dropping a little bit with the cut and turn, it will still have plenty of downward extension. So I'm not in any danger of topping out the shocks when the suspension unwinds. So this thing is allowed to unwind all the way just like it is in its natural state right now. But it can only compress up to here. So one of the things that people have trouble with on these is they have trouble putting the bump stops on the end. I'm going to show you a little trick to do that here, just a second. This is your magic recipe for getting urethane snubbers over top of those bump stop horns. Alright, now this urethane, these things aren't actually solid plugs of plastic. The polyurethane that's in here is somewhat expanded. It's more of a foam than anything else. And what you can do to get these things softer is you can boil them in water for a few minutes, and they become spongy to the touch. Like when I push my fork into it, I can kind of push my fork into these. They literally are spongy, And with them hot enough like that, that will allow them to get this hole right here that I'm pointing the fork at here. That little spot in there will expand up and over the frame horn for that snubber. And it works pretty good. I mean, you gotta be fast about it. When I take these out of here, I'll just pick them out and then I'll immediately take them with my welding gloves to hold on to them, because they're insulated, because water boiling hot. I'll take them over there with the welding gloves. I'll hold them on, and then you can pound them on with a hammer, with this end. Just pound the hammer on the end of it right here. And it usually works pretty good. Doesn't take too much effort. They usually pop right on there. Rubber ones, it's not such a big deal because the rubber is flexible enough without, increasing the temperature that you can just smack them right up and over pretty easy. But urethane is a little tougher. Alright, now I'm going to take these out of here and pop them on our frame horns. Alright, here we got our urethane snubber fresh out of the pot after boiling it. Just give it a few light taps. Get it going on there straight. Magic. There it goes. That's in. Once these guys are on here and they're cooled down, they're on here good. For example, I can't even turn this one right now. It cooled and it shrunk up and it got hard. That foam in here has hardened. And so now if you want to take these things off, well, your best bet honestly is probably to just take a saw and just cut a strip down the side and then, knock them off. That's going to be the only way you're going to get these things off of here after this.